Chapter 15. The Vineyard. The drink filled Kai's stomach with a sensation that gave him relief, and as he sat down by the fire, an overwhelming sense of complete peace filled his soul. He did not know where or why it came, only he knew that it made everything in this particular moment of time make absolute sense. Any and all contradictions seemed to dissipate and dissolve into complete quietness. But then this tranquil silence was interrupted by the sound of whispers in the trees that surrounded him. Where were these whispers coming from, and what were they saying? Looking closer into the wilderness, the trees appeared to be chanting warriors, standing side by side and pounding their spears on the ground. Confused, Kai looked down at the patch of dirt holding up his feet. A pool of black-red blood quickly seeped up to the surface of the ground. "What is that?" he thought he heard himself mutter, but before he could finish his sentence, the blood was gone. Blinking, he looked forward to the place the berserker was seated, but saw only a single road, a path. Squinting his eyes, two more paths appeared. Each of the paths, beginning as one path and separating into three, had at their end a dark shadow that led into an abyss, a bottomless chasm with no direction to move up or down, left or right. "What are the ends?" he seemed to say, without vocalizing aloud his words. Reaching out his hand, he saw himself walk into the middle path, where, upon entering, he became sealed into utter darkness. The whispering and chanting warriors with spears dissolved into nothing. And then, peering his eyes forward, he saw a small light brighten the doorway, entrance to a vineyard full of workers. Upon entering the vineyard, laden by a star-struck sky, Kai absorbed an unspoken but well-felt desire, a drive, a fervent ambition amongst all who were there, that strong toil would bring about an earned return. The master's presence over his workers made this return seem, sound, and feel absolute. When the night drew to an end, the workers lined up to have their cups filled by the master. The master, moving over each man's cup, poured into them. Pouring into Kai's cup, Kai felt the weight of a liquid make his hand heavy. Upon looking inside the cup, he found it hollow. The workers began laughing, drunk on nothing. Getting louder, their laughter began to echo into savage noises of lament, wailing and screams in Kai's ears like chains in the dark. The noise swelled, unbearable, and was torn apart by a scream, a real scream. Kai's eyes flew open. The vineyard dissolved. Smoke, steel, and the clash of war roared around him. Fafhrd's cries pierced the night. Kai turned and saw 3 arrows buried deep in his chest. A hand seized his mouth. Pain exploded at the back of his skull, and darkness claimed him. The darkness did not remain directionless, but began pulling him in deeper, back into the vineyard, back into that dreadful laughter and heavy, hollow cup. But something about the cup seemed different. It swelled in his hand, becoming heavier and heavier until it transformed into the blue sack of bread that had gone missing during his hunt. In between its seams, blood began to seep, dripping down his fingers and pattering onto the earth. Kai tried to let go, but the sack clung to him, pulsing like it was alive. Suddenly the dream cracked as a rush of cold night air split his vision apart. Fluttering his eyes open, Kai realized he was no longer holding the sack, but that it was there. It was real, only it was tied to the belt of a body being dragged past him. Fafhrd's body. Could I still be dreaming? Kai thought to himself. But the light of the fire reflecting against the bag revealed it was the exact same color, with the exact same stitching and pattern as the one he lost in the forest. It swayed against Fafhrd's hip with every pull of the enemy's hand. Kai's lips parted as he tried to speak, but he could make no sound. The sight of the blue sack burned in his mind before the weight of unconsciousness overpowered him again, and all was black silence.